Welcome to this episode of the story. Subscribe as soon as possible. Chapter 7. The Raven's Eye. The Ashes of the Sibylline Books. During the Festival of the Sacred Fire in Rome, the crowd gathered at the foot of the Capitoline Hill, watching as the priestess Sibyl was tied to the stake in front of the memory furnace. Her white robe was soaked with blood, and strands of false memories implanted by the church were intermingled in her hair. Images of devilish temptations flickered in her pupils, yet couldn't conceal the real golden patterns in the depths of her eyes. Behold, this is the fate of those who desecrate the sacred canon of memories. The voice of High Priest Octavian spread throughout the city through the memory resonance device. He held up the burning parchment scroll in his hand, and the remnants of star chart formulas were faintly visible in the ashes. The Sibylline books contain the whispers of the devil. Only the sacred fire can purify these impure memories. Sibyl looked up at the sky. The bronze mirrors of Rome, the shield of Medusa, glistened on the tops of buildings. The mirrors, which should have reflected sunlight, were now greedily sucking in the subconscious of the people. She could see tiny memory threads floating above each person's head, being drawn away by the church's memory furnaces. The true purpose of the Festival of the Sacred Fire was to power the nearly completed star chart device with the happy memories of the believers. What you're burning is not books, but the evidence of humanity's first awakening. She suddenly broke free from her restraints and whipped out a silver shuttle woven from memories from her robe. The tip of the shuttle scratched Octavian's cheek, leaving a purple memory rift in the air. It was an Atlantean defensive spell that could temporarily block the church's memory manipulation. The crowd gasped. Taking this opportunity, Sibyl rushed towards the altar where the fragments of the Sibylline books were piled. Her fingertips caressed the words written with memory ashes, and the entire altar suddenly erupted with blue golden light. The memory rifles of the church soldiers melted into liquid metal in the intense light, and the parchment scrolls that were supposed to be burned actually reassembled into a holographic projection of the star chart in the air. She's activated the Atlantean memory resonance. Octavian wiped the blood from his face, and the gear structure of the star chart was reflected in his pupils. Quickly activate the memory tampering program and make the people believe this is a devilish illusion. Sibyl heard the humming of a memory scythe behind her. When she turned around, she saw her own younger brother aiming the church's memory weapon at her. In his gray eyes, the same as hers, were reflected the righteous memories implanted by the church. 3 days ago, he was just an ordinary young man fishing by the Tiber River, but now he had become the church's most loyal reaper. Jason, wake up. She threw the silver memory shuttle, weaving a memory barrier between them. Do you remember the lullaby Mother sang before she died? The river of memory that the church has banned... Shut up. Jason pulled the trigger, and the light of the memory scythe sliced through the barrier. The church has helped me delete those memories that pollute the soul. Sister, you think you're rebelling, but you're actually just a remnant of the Queen of Atlantis' clone. His voice suddenly stopped. Sibyl saw the reflection of their mother being executed by the church on the blade of the memory scythe. It was the real memory she had secretly sealed in her brother's subconscious. Jason staggered backward and the memory weapon fell to the ground, revealing the words, "Clone No 001, engraved inside. So you're also one of their vessels. Sibyl's voice was tinged with pain, but was interrupted by Octavian's sneer. Of course, all those who try to approach the truth are the church's memory test subjects. The high priest waved his hand and summoned 12 memory nuns. The wings made of memory threads spreading out from under their black robes emitted the cries of babies, the wailing of innocent souls devoured by the church. But you're more valuable than your brother. There's an Atlantean memory key hidden in your mind, enough for the church to create 12 new memory cages. The fragments of the Sibylline books let out an unwilling shriek in the fire. Sibyl suddenly grabbed the burning parchment scroll and pressed it against her chest. The moment the memory ashes seeped into her skin, she saw the scene before her mother's death. Beside the fountain of memory in the Acropolis of Athens, her mother stabbed the genuine Sibylline books into her heart and used memory symbiosis to transform them into a biochip. So that's it. It wasn't the books that needed to be protected. It was me. She laughed, blood oozing from the corner of her mouth and drawing Atlantean runes on the ground. You think burning books can destroy the truth? Memories can't be killed? the entire altar suddenly exploded. Sibyl's body turned into thousands of memory fragments, each reflecting the history that the church had tried to erase. The real cause of the Trojan War, the truth about the sinking of Atlantis, and the evidence of the church's rule maintained by clones. The people covered their eyes, but on their retinas they saw the untamperable real images. Quickly activate the memory cleansing program. Octavian roared, and memory threads condensed into chains at his fingertips. Adjust their short-term memories to the carnival scene of the Festival of the Sacred Fire now. But it was too late. Sibyl's memory fragments floated towards the crowd like dandelion seeds, touching the center of each person's brow. A baker suddenly hugged his head, screaming and falling to his knees. He saw that the image of himself voluntarily burning the Sibylline books was actually a false memory implanted by the church. In reality, he had a memory scythe held to his throat at that time. This is a plague. It's Satan's curse. The crowd began to riot. Some people grabbed the burning pages and attacked the church guards. The collective hallucination caused by memory resonance started to spread. Octavian's memory threads wrapped around Sibyl's remains, only to find that she was tightly holding half a feather of a raven totem in her hand, evidence that the star guardians had been here. The raven will carry away the truth. She gave him a blood-stained smile. And your star chart is already full of holes. When the church's memory purification troops arrived, there was only scorched earth around the altar. The ashes of the Sibylline books were carried by the night wind towards the Tiber River, with ciphertext written in memory energy mixed in. In the shadows on the other side of the river, a man wearing a raven mask unfurled his cloak, and his feather scarf gently caught an ash fragment. A gear pattern identical to that on the pendant of the Queen of Atlantis emerged on it. The 37th memory fragment, he said in a low voice. The burn scar under the scarf glimmered faintly in the moonlight. The crack in the star chart has deepened further. The church's memory prison can barely contain the truth of humanity. At the same time, in the underground chamber of the memory cathedral, Octavian looked at the clones sleeping in the crystal coffins and slammed his fist against the cultivation pot. On the bodies identical to Sibyl's, the symbol of the raven's eye was engraved on the nape of the neck. It had taken the church 300 years to finally confirm that the inheritors of Atlantean memories were related to the legendary Star Guardians organization. Activate Clone Note 81 of the Prometheus project. He gave an order into the communicator. Since memories can spread, let's use a more perfect memory virus to completely purify humanity's rebellious consciousness. On the surface of the Tiber River, the man in the raven mask put the ashes into a special memory container. What he didn't know was that as he turned around, an ash fragment with blood, written words drifted into the river and flowed towards distant Britain with the waves. In the oak forest there, a girl with amber-colored pupils was waiting for the next crack in the star chart. This episode ends here. The next episode will be even more exciting. Come and subscribe.